Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the final event by ATSA, second part of the day. I am Eleonore Balenci, journalist and facilitator for this afternoon's conferences. We're together until 4 p.m. to attend the conferences around the ATSA's four favorite sectors. This morning, we tackled the fintech and health tech sector, and this afternoon, we're going to talk about the edtech and the green tech sector. This is going to be the sector we're going to tackle right now. So don't forget that in addition to these highlights, you can meet each other using the B2B meetings module on this website. Mid-cap companies, SMEs, large groups and investors with needs and startups supported as part of ATSA can answer you. So if you wish, you can also send us your questions using the Twitter hashtag ATSA final event. So for the GreenTech conference, let's welcome our first speaker. So Lucia Diaz is with us this afternoon. She works at the Agencia Andalusian del Conocimiento. She owns a bachelor degree in economics from the University of Seville and MBA from the School of Industrial Organization EOL. She is currently head of the European Innovation R&D and Knowledge Transfer Services area at the Andalusian Knowledge Agency. She counts with more than 15 years of experience in aspects related to innovation, technology, and knowledge transfer, international programs, and innovation procurement, especially in the field of energy, since she's belonged to the energy sector group of the Enterprise Europe Network since its launch in 2008. Welcome, Lucia. Thank you for being with us this afternoon, and I think we're all ready to listen to your overview of the green tech universe.
Thank you very much, Eleonore. Well, I'm going to share my screen. Okay.
Perfect. We can see it.
Great. So, well, the main objective of my presentation today is going to be to provide you an overview of the main tools, mechanisms, and funding opportunities that the European Commission provides to the GreenTech startups. So I would like to start by saying why GreenTech startups are so important for not only the economy and the industry, but in general. And basically it's because they help to reduce the damage, the environmental damage. They also help us to conserve the natural resources. Green tech startups also ensure that clean, renewable energy, sources of energy are used to prevent the complete extraction of the non-renewable sources of energy. So in this slide, what I want to do is to point out two main European strategies and one plan that the European Commission has put in practice in order to support not only the industry, but also the SMEs, green tech SMEs. These two European Union strategies are the European Industrial Strategy, the SME Strategy, and the European Green Deal. So what are the main issues or topics that the European Industrial Strategy address? Well, it was launched in March 2020 with the main objective of ensuring that the European industry was going to lead in transitioning to what was called the twin transition at that stage, that was to the digital transition and to a green transition. But a day after of the publication of this strategy, the COVID-19 outbreak was declared a pandemic. So last month, in May 2021, the European Union updated this industrial strategy, and they have included as a main objective also the recovery of the European Union. And in order to do that, the resilience is being adopted as one of the major objectives as well. So we have moved from what it was called the twin transition to the triple transition. So the most important takeaways of the European industrial strategy are that it's mainly focused on leading the transition towards a greener, more digital and resilient economy. If we analyze the European SME strategy, this strategy, the main objective is to empower SMEs from any sector of activity. And this empower and support that the European Commission provides to the SME is basically in three main activities or pillars. One of them is the helping SMEs in that transition to the more digital and sustainable economy. The support is also going to be focused on facilitating the access to finance to the SMEs, and also facilitating the access to new markets, not only in the single market, but beyond. Last but not least, I would like to highlight the European Green Deal. The European Green Deal is one of the 6 European priorities set for the period 2019 to 2024. The main aim of this European Green Deal is to transform the European Union into a modern, resource-efficient and competitive economy. The way that the European Union foresees and the way that they want to make this is by making Europe climate neutral by 2050, boosting the economy through green technologies, creating a sustainable industry and transport, and also by cutting pollution. So as you'll see, these two different, the two previous strategies that I haven't mentioned, and also this Green Deal plan, are really focused on fostering green technologies into the European economy. So in order to facilitate the use of these green technologies, the European Commission has launched also recently what is called the Horizon Europe. This is the European Union Research and Innovation Framework Program for 2020 to 2027. It provides funding opportunities for European entities and as in general, but SMEs in particular. GreenTech startups are foreseen as well. The main aim of this funding program is maximize, the impact of the program itself. How? Strengthening a scientific and technological base, boosting innovation capacity, and also the Horizon Europe, this program is going to be the mechanism for driving the green and digital transition, supporting an inclusive recovery. So as you see, this green and digital transition, as well as the resilience, are foreseen in this funding program. So the funding program is structured in 3 different pillars. Pillar 1 is excellent science, and is mostly focused on financing science, the science base, the European science base. The second pillar is global challenges and European industry and competitiveness. It's basically focused on giving answer to the global challenges and tackle the European Commission priorities and the Sustainable Development Goals. And the third pillar, that is Innovative Europe, is mostly focused on breakthrough innovation and generated market opportunities to enhance the innovation capacity of the European SMEs. So at this stage, I have mentioned to you different strategies, different plans, this funding program, so you might be a little lost because what you would like to know is how to benefit from these funding opportunities, or how to align your activity or your strategy or contribute to the objectives set in the different strategies. So for that, the European Commission launched at the beginning of 2008 what was called the Enterprise Europe Network. This network is the world's largest network that provides support services and activities for SMEs with international ambition. So we have, or the network has a global presence. It's present in more than 60 countries all over the world, not only in Europe. And it is structured by a different consortia that are composed by regional or national development agencies, chambers of commerce, organisms or intermediate entities that provide support services at local stage, but with a wider vision and international ambition. So the services that the Enterprise Europe Network provides today are mainly focused in three different areas. Support services to help European entities, mostly SMEs, to innovate and transfer their technology, to increase their competitiveness via helping them to access to new markets, to expand their business internationally, and also enhancing the participation of European SMEs on the funding programs such as the Horizon Europe funding program that I have just mentioned. But the Enterprise Europe Network is a living network, so since the main priorities for the European Commission are that digitalization, sustainability, and resilience, new services have been put in place. What has been called sustainability advisors have been launched within the network. So every single consortium in the network has now what is called a sustainability advisor, providing support services and organizing activities towards accelerating the transition of the European SMEs into a more greener business model. So the main sustainability services and support activities that we organize is that we organize raising awareness activities, we provide advice, we organize capacity building activities, we provide also support on innovation technology transfer, etc., etc. So if you feel lost on this wide overview of the priorities, services, or activities that will help to your green technologies to be put in or accessed in the market, just contact us. We are in all Europe, so if you have any doubt, you just have to contact us, and we will be really, really happy to help you.
Thank you very much, Lucia, for this really concrete and interesting statement about the green tech sector today. And to go deeper into that subject, we have gathered a panel of experts to continue this discussion for a roundtable. So let's let's reach our three next guests. First, Pilar Zapata. She's biologist and senior project manager at Bioazul since 2006. She has been working in the company for more than 15 years, acquiring extensive experience in proposals, writing, negotiation, and coordination of R&D and I and international cooperation projects within different EU programs, being these projects mainly related to circular economy, water management, treatment and reuse, waste management, resource sustainability, sustainable sanitation, and other environmental issues. She is the current coordinator of the H2020 project Water to Return. Hi Pilar, and with Pilar we have also Raymond Alcorn. Dr. Raymond Alcorn has 20 years of experience in renewable energy from a commercial and R&D background both overseas and in Ireland. Originally a chartered electrical engineer, Dr. Alcorn has spent his entire career developing and commercializing renewable energy. Along with co-founder John Keating, Dr. Alcorn set Exceedence up in 2015 with a mission to bring sound, equitable, and independent financial planning to the renewable sector through their revolutionary techno-financial digital twin software. And finally, our next guest, Julian Schwartz from Sevenshape, co-founder and CEO of Sevenshape. He's the president of the French tech Atlantic Valley. He's co-founder of this company, the first video game for learning lean methods and the industry of the future. Coming from a family of industrials, Julian worked very early in small companies to pay for his studies. Multitasker, he graduated in engineering, wrote a thesis, and published a book on lean management before becoming an industrial performance consultant. He decides to create Sevenshape in order to facilitate and modernize access to performance in schools and businesses. Thank you very much for joining us today to discuss on how GreenTech Startups disrupt the industry sector. So first of all, we're going to present your companies. Starting with you, Julien, can you, I talked a little bit about Sevenshape. Can you explain a little bit more specifically your activities?
In fact, so hello, hi everyone. In fact, the Sevenshape, we created a product called the Sevenshape School. So it's an online training based on simulation, in fact, and you're gonna have to learn all the lean methods and all the efficiency methods for industrial services and supply chain through a simulation. And it's a little drones factory you have to improve. And during your training based on game, you're gonna learn all the things about lean, and you're gonna have also some videos, quizzes, and etc.
So while preparing this roundtable, I read that you managed to divide your carbon footprint by 10 in only 2 years. Can you explain how you did that?
Yeah, since for the 2 years last year, in fact, we tried to tackle all the footprints we're gonna have. So first on the servers, we try to manage how we store all the data on the servers and try to decrease the number of data by 2. We also divided the weight of all the videos and the games and how we develop it. And so we multiply by 10 the number of hours of trainings and divided in the same time 10 all the footprints, in fact, yes, just to choose new technologies and try to compress all the videos, quizzes, and all the data.
And can you tell us a bit more about your new project, Green and Lean?
Our new project. It's we know that we have to teach a lot of people in the industry how to measure the footprints, measure all the waste, because lean management is based on waste, in fact, and all type of waste. And we try to create a simulation based on the global supply chain you're gonna have to manage. And this is not in terms of security or quality or cost. It's gonna be just about footprints, and you're gonna have to manage this factory from 2021 to 2050 and try to reach all the goals we have to reach in terms of sustainability. And you're gonna apply and learn all the things and all the tools through simulation online. and we want it open in terms of design, in terms of content, and in terms of development. So it's going to be an open model, we think, so more or less.
Very interesting. Thank you, Julien. Now, moving on to the water management pillar. As an expert in water management systems, can you explain what are the different end uses of your solutions at Bioazul?
Yes, hello. Thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me here to this interesting event. Well, in Bioazul, we are an engineering consultancy, and we are mainly focused on research and development and innovation activities, and we are focused basically on water management. We have different kinds of systems depending on the further end use we want to give to the treated water. So in some occasions, the strategy is to maintain the nutrients in this water to further irrigate the crops. So there is no need of chemical fertilizers from outside. On the other case, the strategy is quitting these nutrients from the treated water and manufacture biofertilizers and biostimulants and other agronomic products. So depending on the further use of the water treated, the strategy and the technology will be different.
So do you have any examples of or current projects you're working on?
Yes, we have been working since 2003 in European projects in different framework programs. Right now, we are coordinating more than two, but I mean, in this sense, to Horizon 2020 projects. In one of them, which is called Water Treatment, we treat wastewater from the slaughterhouses, extract the nutrients we have in there, and manufacture different kinds of agronomic products to be further used by farmers. And in another one, which is called Pavitru, we are working in India in this case. So we are running like 14 pilots, different kinds of water treatment technologies, and the approach is very different because in that location, water scarcity is obviously a very important problem, and saving fresh water is the key issue there. So we try to treat the water in different ways with nature-based solutions and also technological solutions to try to use this treated water for other uses and not spend fresh water.
Mm-hmm. And I know you're able to monitor different parameters to check the treatment efficiency, but is it possible for you to solve any kind of situations remotely?
Well, it depends on the concrete technology to be applied, but it's very important for us when talking about these kind of projects, having good remote control systems, because we are able, you're right, to check different kinds of parameters and also react. Because, for example, if we are talking about this project in India and we have to fix whatever, it's not possible to be there in a couple of days. So it's possible to control many of the things that we have to take care of for the operation, and even solve small problems.
That's your asset, I assume, at Bioazul, of course. Now, Raymond, can you tell us more about Exceedence, your company, and more specifically about the project development?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Eleanor, for the introduction. That was nice. So at Exceedence, we have what's called a financial digital twin software for renewable energy. The easiest way to sort of explain it to you is, imagine you're going to build, let's say, a wind energy project, and you know that you want to put so many turbines in the ocean, and you know you have to pay so much money to buy those turbines, but at the same time you know that when they generate electricity, you can sell that. So over the lifetime of the project, the amount you spend on it is offset by how much you make from it, and you're going to hopefully make a profit. So that's the simplest kind of thing that we do. To be able to put that together, you need thousands of pieces of information, from the wind resource to the turbines performance, or the solar performance, or whatever it is in the renewable energy sector. And normally people would do that with a really big, complicated Excel sheet. So what we've done is we've produced software that guides the user through that process. And it's not just for project developers. It's for people who are interested in investing in this space. They can look at one project versus another, or they can look at the costs, or people who are developing technologies can look at the levelized cost of energy and see how they can reduce it. So we have an impact right across the value chain in the renewable sector.
And on a more global view now, what are the opportunities brought by renewable energies in your perspective?
Oh, well, the global perspective, it's big and it's growing. So globally, around about $330 billion is spent on new renewable energy projects every year, and then existing projects spend around about 150 to 200 billion a year on operation and maintenance. So that's €500 billion pretty much every year spent in this sector, mostly in wind, solar and other renewable projects. So that's growing as well. We're seeing that market is growing. We're seeing a growth of particularly floating offshore wind, which is going to be much bigger than onshore, much bigger than offshore wind. And then we're also seeing a growth in what's called energy to gas, or energy vectors. So for example, green hydrogen. So there's huge growth potential, and there's huge growth demand. And we're trying to help facilitate that growth.
And Raymond, you have, as I said in my introduction, 20 years experience in renewable energy. What did you learn from your past experiences?
Oh, that's a fabulous question. Yeah, 20 years. Have I been at it that long? In fact, I might even be older than that, but maybe that's an old introduction I sent you. Yeah, so what have I learned? That it takes a long time for some of these technologies to come out of the idea stage, and it takes a lot of money to get technologies from the idea stage out to the market. But once they get there, and once they get traction, they take off very, very quickly. And so I will remind you that about 20 years ago, we saw the very first offshore wind project. And now those offshore wind projects are now being financed by pension funds who don't really take very much risk. So, you can imagine the change has really happened. And now we're starting to see that again with, say, floating wind, that it's slowly emerged from being a research idea. Now it's becoming mainstream, and then we'll get an explosion of take-off.
Thank you, Raymond. Back to you now, Julien. Can you tell us about the impact of waste reduction on the industry, and what are your next goals and objectives for your company today?
In the industry globally, you mean?
Yes.
Globally, yeah. In fact, what we know, it's the largest company in the world apply already lean methodology based on waste. So when we call it lean waste, it's non-quality, over inventory, transportation, etc., etc. So 99% of the biggest factory or biggest company applied that lean methodology. For the little ones, there is a lot of work to do again. But what we know, it's lean philosophy. It's a bit. We're gonna have to change the lean philosophy with all the green problem, the climate change. So we call it in France that we're gonna re-industrial the France because there is a lot of transportation from China to France, etc. And it's lean. It's not really lean, in fact, but there is a lot of transportation. But it depends if you think about costs or impact on environment. And on the lean philosophy, there is no huge state about the environment. So I think, and we are actually working on a new certification, a new basis called Green and Lean, to put the green things into industrial things, industrial problems. And it's going to change the game. In fact, and the change we develop products, the change about the supply chain and all the things like that. So all new products, really, or new things we really want to work on in Sevenshape and with the team is to work on the green and lean and try to think about the basis, think about some tools and a training program, something like that, to just to be able to the people to understand what they do actually and what the impact on the environment. And it's a big thing, in fact.
So it's very interesting. We've talked about each of your companies and activities, development targets and challenges on the green tech sector. One last tour and with one question, what are, in your opinion, the key skills for success in the green tech sector? Beginning with you, Pilar, what's your perspective on this?
Well, it depends on the green tech sector is actually really big, no? It depends, but obviously it's gonna be very important to have some technical knowledge of the concrete area you are talking about, and at the same time being able to have a great use of digital technologies, because it will be very important for transmitting data, for controlling remotely different kinds of technologies, and actually to know what's going on in every single moment with your pilot or your system and so on. So it's the future, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Raymond? What are the key points to have in mind when you want to succeed in this kind of tech sector?
Well, if I speak a little bit more generally about startups in this kind of sector, I think it's about timing, making sure that you try and get your timing right. And when I say that, that means that there really is a need for what you're doing, and you've timed whatever it is, product or service that you're doing correctly, and it's the right kind of fit for the market. I'll give you an example. So when we started out, I dug these out from our archives earlier on today. This is how we started selling our software: in a box, on a CD. And you know, that worked for a little while, maybe 6 years ago, but that's not how the market wanted it. Then we started doing digital downloads, and now we've completely changed our software to being on the cloud. So all you have to do is access it by a username and set up an account. That takes a lot of investment for us to be able to do that. But then that means timing-wise, that's what the industry is looking for right now. So getting your timing right and getting your product to meet the pain point of your customers, I suppose, is what's important.
Yeah, good advice. Now, finally, Julian, what do you have in mind when we say we need to be successful in the green tech sector? What would be your advices?
I think my advice, it's each startup have to be first an example, in fact, of green. This is the reason why we try to reduce by ourselves first the impact of all products, to try to teach or train people to be more efficient or more system. So I think my advice is to try to apply to your company what you're gonna want to learn, or just do an example, in fact.
Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you for sharing your engagements in the green tech sector. You showed us that key solutions are here to provide a better world. Thank you. We are going to take a short break, and we'll meet again for the last conference of the day. We'll explore the edtech sector, discussing about a specific strategy to succeed internationally. So don't miss it. It will start at 3:20 p.m.